Noor, are you ready?
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you can start. It is live
Okay.
right now.
Okay. So, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. My name is Noor, and I'm doing my graduation in Korean language from Jamia Millia Islamia, and I'm also a student of Turkish level A1 at Umran Green School. So today I'd like to talk about the Korean society and its culture. My presentation will take only about 15 to 20 minutes, maybe. So there will be a plenty of time for questions at the end of my presentation. So please feel free to ask. So in the in the first slide, I'd like to begin by telling you a brief introduction about South Korea. South Korea is a Korean peninsula in Eastern Asia. The country borders the South Sea of Japan, Yellow Sea, and North Korea. South Korea is a presidential representative democratic republic. South Korean people use the word Hanguk to refer South Korea. So the word Guk in Hanguk comes from a Chinese character which means country or nation. Thus, the Hanguk means the country of the Hans. So the Korean people consider themselves as the people of from the Han dynasty. So they call their country as Hanguk, which means the country of Hans. So in the next slide, you can see the glimpse of South Korea. Here we go. So this was the video of South Korea. Hope you liked it. And now let's move on to my another topic, which is language. So the Korean language. So the Hangul is the name of the Korean language, and Korean was heavily influenced by the Chinese culture. So the language is so the Korean people also used to use the characters of from the Chinese language. But in 16th century, the great King Sejong invented its own writing system and gave it the name Hangul, which was way more easier than the Chinese language. Although Koreans still use Chinese characters, which are called Hanja, it is quite tough though. Korean is the official language of South Korea as well as North Korea. And Hangul has 24 basic characters in which there are 10 vowels and 14 consonants. So in this slide, we have religion. The main religions in Korea are Buddhism, Confucianism, and Christianity. But the majority of South Koreans follows Buddhism and Christianity. And a slightly slightly majority of South Koreans have no any religion. They don't follow any religion. So this is the next slide. In this slide, we have Korean festivals. Well, the traditions, rituals, and culture are as gorgeous, as spectacular as its natural beauty. So here I want to tell you about some famous Korean festivals in the next slide. So the first famous festival we have is Seolal. Seolal means Lunar New Year's Day. Seolal is a holiday and celebration which marks the first day of the Korean lunar calendar. So in Seolal, what Koreans do is they gather as whole in their ancestors' home in their hometowns to pay their respects to both ancestors and the elders. And where they meet on and when they meet on Seolal, they always say Sehebuk Mani Padaseo. It is a Korean phrase which means may you receive a lot of luck in the new year. And during Seolal, Koreans play folk games, eat their traditional foods, listen to stories, and spend good time with their families. And so the next festival is Jeju. The next festival is Jeju Fire Festival. Jeju Fire Festival is the field burning festival, and it is biggest fire festival in the whole world. It is very unique to Jeju Island when winter arrives. Jeju Fire Festival came from a Korean tradition which name is Bangge, in which they burn down the field during the time between late winters and early spring, maybe March. It is celebrated for 4 days. In these days, they have variety of musical performances, contests, and they do many activities, including folk market as well as special cultural programs. So the next festival we have is Chuseok Festival. Chuseok is a Korean Thanksgiving Day. Chuseok festival is celebrated on the 15th day of the month August of the lunar calendar on the full moon. Chuseok, also known as Hangui, which means the 15th day of August, as it is celebrated on the 15th date. On this day, full harvest moon appeared in the sky, and all the families gathered together and give thanks to their ancestors for the plenty harvest. The next slide, we have family structure. In this, we'll know about their family values. So the Korean people are very family orientated. All the family members are very loyal to each other and dedicated to maintaining their relations with each other very well. Traditionally, ideal family type in Korea was a patriarchal stem family. As we all know that in the Western culture, young children stop living with their parents as soon as they become an adult. But in South Korea, it's different. Children stay with their parents even if they are in their 40s or 50s. So the STEM family consists two families in generations, like a father and mother living in the same household with their eldest son, his wife, and their children. So basically, the eldest son generally inherited the family estates in Korea. So the next slide we have is Korean cuisine. The Korean cuisine has evolved through a complex interaction of the natural environment and different cultural trends. Korean cuisine is largely based on rice, vegetables, and of course seafood because it's a peninsula. As Korea is located between the China and the Japan, so it shares many cultural characteristics with the two countries as well as food. Korean foods can be largely categorized in groups of main dish, side dishes, and the dessert. So when they sit to eat together, they sit at the same pace of other people sitting at the table. And in Korea, if you're chewing your food with your mouth opened and making noises while chewing your food, it is considered very mannerless and rude in their culture. And on the other hand, if you don't slurp while eating noodles and soup, especially, then they consider it rude too because they like to make slurping noise while eating noodles and soups. While having meals, the older people sits first at the table. Then a guest says, "Chal mukissam nida." Chal mukissam nida means I will enjoy the meal. They say it as a sign of respect to the host. This clearly shows that the Korean culture is based on the politeness and the respect. Next, here we have some main Korean dishes. The first one is kimchi. First, we have kimchi. Kimchi is a national dish of South Korea. It is basically pickles made of salted and fermented vegetables such as cabbage and Korean radish. It is basically a side dish, but the Koreans like it very much, so they eat it as it is sometimes. Kimchi is also low in calories, and it also helps to reduce your body weight, and it keeps you healthy inside out. The next dish we have is bibimbap. Bibimbap. Bibimbap is a Korean rice dish. The word bibim means mixing, while the bap word means rice in Korean. So bibimbap means mixing rice. Bibimbap is served as a bowl of warm rice uh, topped with namul, which are namul is a seasoned veggies, and they pour some chili, red chili pepper paste, kimchi, soya sauce, and soybean paste. A raw or fried egg is also must to add in the bibimbap. So they just mix it all together before eating it, and it tastes really good. I have it once. The next dish is chapje. The next dish is chapje. Chapje is basically glass noodles. It is also one of the most traditional celebration dishes. It is served on special occasions, mainly birthdays or marriage or any that kind of events. So you can consider it as a sweet dish because it's slightly sweet in taste. Japchae is prepared with dangmyeon. Dangmyeon is a type of cellophane noodles made from sweet potato. So it is made with dangmyeon. The noodles are mixed with assorted vegetables, meats, mushrooms, and seasoned with the soy sauce and sesame oil. So these were some main dishes of South Korea. In the next slide, we have traditional clothing. The Korean traditional dress is called hanbok. The term hanbok literally means Korean clothing. So Han, as I told you in the previous slides, that Han means Korean, or the book is refers to the clothing. So hanbok, Korean clothing. It was established as a part of the unique living culture of South Korea. It was influenced by the geographical and climatic nature of the country. Hanbok is a two-piece hanbok is a two-piece dress wrapped front top and a long high-waisted skirt. As you can see in this picture, there is a top and then they're wearing the high-waist skirt. And hanbok are very vibrant in colors. In the history, Korea almost everyone wears hanbok in their daily lives, especially the upper class people. But nowadays, Koreans wear hanbok only on a formal occasions like their marriages or like that, something like that, and events such as festivals and ceremonies and all. But in 1996, the South Korean Ministry of Culture established Hanbok Day to encourage the South Korean citizens to wear the hanbok in their daily basis also. So the next slide we have is marriage. It is quite weird that the people in Korea cannot marry the person with the same surname. Marriage in the same clan in Korea is illegal. Like if you are the part of the same clan and you have the similar surname, it means you are the part of the same family, or somehow you are brothers and sisters, no matter how distantly you are related. So it is quite weird. So last but not the least, we have the entertainment. The Korean media and entertainment played a very, very huge role to grow the Korean economy. The Korean wave in Korea, we say in Korean language, they say Korean wave Hallyu. Hallyu means flow of Korea. So the Korean wave is Hallyu. The Korean wave is the increase in global popularity of South Korean culture since the 1980s. The Korean wave encompasses the global awareness of different aspects of South Korean culture, including film and television, K-drama, K-pop, manhwa. Manhwa is a Korean anime kind. Anime, you can say manhwa means cartoon. Even the Korean language and cuisine. So the word K-pop refers to the music, Korean music. In K-pop is becoming very popular all around the world these days. K-pop popularity was led by the top K-pop idols groups. I guess you guys are also aware of such huge K-pop groups like BTS, Blackpink, etc. Like I put some pictures here. Like this one is BTS and this one is Blackpink, and here are some K-dramas posters. So K-pop and K-dramas has played a huge role in the development of South Korea. So here are some Korean music. So I've put that in my presentations, or you can hear it.
Mic 번진 black 번진 망할 것 같았겠지만 I'm fine sorry 미안해 billboard 미안해 worldwide 아들이 너무 잘 나가서 미안해 엄마 대신해줘 네가 뭐 바뀌어도 우리 콘서트 절대 없어 hold on I do it 너 말 없는 라다 do it 후배가 아프다면 고소해 so it Just in my bag you just in my bag I'm trying to focus on the solo pack
So there is the other one.
시간이 됐지 반드시 아마 두만 땡땡 귀신 나쁜 바글거려 다들 눈 못해 모두 따라와요 Hands up in the air we back get away 이제 막 터질 거야 everywhere 나를 삼켜봐 그리고 내 어깨 스톰에 꽤 오래 저러지 저리가 언제 터질지 몰라 Popping your head like King's Mansion No fireman gun fireworks cherries in the sky high I'm the biggest hit I'm the biggest hit on the stage I'm the biggest hit I'm the biggest hit If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands, yo. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
It's a speed, bullet, peer, run, cherry, kill it, young, bullet, peer, run, cherry, kill it, young, bullet, peer.
Yeah, so these was some K-pop music videos. I hope you were all able to hear it. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I've shared some information about South Korea with all of you, and thank you so much for listening me. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now. Thank you so much. So here I've written in Korean also, with 감사합니다, which means thank you so much in Korean language. Thanks.
Excellent.